and then have to fight a Nephthys. That's kind of what an ideal scenario is going to look like for him in terms of pre-bans into bans.
Yep. Well, the APAC Cup comes down to this. Mr. Chung and Charmi, brought to you by Google Play. Find your arena and all the newest games only on Google Play. Stoic, take it away here. A best of 5 to crown a new champion.
That's right, best of 5. This is the final, guys. Mr. Chung, Charmi, pre-bans are out. Gianna getting pre-banned and Nephthys getting pre-banned by Mr. Chung, Charmi with the first pick of that Ganymede.
Interesting first pick on that Ganymede, but I guess he doesn't want to fight that light monkey, so it takes that Ganny away. And at the same time, obviously, you got to take the Hathor. And then a quick pick into the Veligil, which is quite interesting here. I'm not sure about the Wunsa response. I would have preferred to see an Okeanos there, but I guess a Wunsa is also semi-okay here.
Yep, well, Charmi bringing in that Ciara and Wunsa. After that, I think Mr. Chung is going to be responding with possibly something. He's not outspeeding just yet. He does not have a speed lead himself.
And I don't think he really can outspeed because the Wunsas are typically 330 speed and are built to outspeed a speed lead plus a fast unit. So I think Mr. Chung has to go with some sort of a turn 2 play. I'm not sure if this is it because Charmi can then go with super aggressive comp, maybe some sort of a Barbara, or maybe something to blow up Mr. Chung's team off the bat. Instead goes with the Fran, which I don't quite agree with. If you're going to take a Wunsa, a Fran doesn't quite make sense into this. It tells me he's going to let a Hathor through, likely going to ban out maybe the Veligil or something like that. But I'm not sure about the Fran pick here. I would have rather see more aggression, more Barbara, maybe even a Savannah type style coming out from Charmi.
Interesting draft coming out of Charmi here. I mean, wrapping it up with that Fran and then even a Juno to finish off his draft there. Very interesting. I'm curious what Mr. Chung is going to do to respond to seeing a Juno.
Yeah, I really don't like that last 2 pick, that Juno and the Fran there, because if you take out Ciara, Charmi is repping no damage at all. So Mr. Chung should be playing to ban that Ciara out, and he should have this draft 1. I really like that Vertihal pick. It's going to let all his team, all of his units just take so many more turns. It's going to do a lot of damage. He's got enough heals on his team. I think Vertihal's a great pick here. That Ciara is the ban. I mean, Charmi's pretty much locked out with no damage. He's going to need lots of stuns from this Juno. But right now, he's a massive underdog on this draft.
Definitely looking good for Mr. Chung right now. I think he's got a very aggressive draft, but we're going into the round 1 between Mr. Chung and Charmi. This is the APAC final. Here we go. Wunsa looking for a full team strip. Can he receive it? And he does.
Yeah, Wunsa getting that full team strip, and at the same time, Ganny's going to be able to reset that Hathor here, means that he's going to have a lot of tempo, but again, not a lot of burst. And all Mr. Chung needs to do is get his units online, get that speed buff going. He's forcing the strip out of the Juno, but again, there are more cooldowns coming up from the side of Mr. Chung.
Definitely forcing the strip out of that Juno, but not receiving the full strip on top of that Veligil, though. Despair stun does happen for that that Hathor, which is a great place to be putting that.
Yeah, definitely a great place to be putting that. But again, that Veligil is going to be able to clean everything up, right? No more dots here. He's going to be able to use skill 3 and boost his units and also bring immunity to the table.
And he gets an additional turn as well. Possible strip coming out. No, choosing to go for a punishment to apply a little bit of damage here. Pra is going to be providing that strip. I'm sorry, there is no strip capping on that Wunsa and the Fran.
Yeah, it's actually very unlucky to get that because if he was able to strip the Wunsa or the Fran, he'd be able to lay this defense break onto a better target. Instead, has to go for the Ganny and actually does land, which is huge.
Does land that 3-turn defense break on top of that Ganny, but Fran's going to be there to cleanse it all up here. Attack break coming out on to the Ganymede. A lot of healing coming because of that Juno being able to use its passive up.
Yeah, but again, that Praha does have heals up. So Praha is going to be able to heal up that Veligil. And at the same time, I mean, Mr. Chung just has the ability to survive and is going to be able to do more damage over time.
Yep, got a great additional turn coming out of that Veligil to apply a little bit of damage there to the Fran, but another additional turn coming out of that Vigor as well.
Yeah, that's a massive proc by that Vigor because now there's speed buff on the side of Mr. Chung that's going to allow him to just cycle over and over again, allow him to get those cooldowns much more quickly.
Very nice Despair Stun coming out onto the Veligil. Looking for a defense break, not receiving that defense break on top of the Fran. We got second skill Sleep coming out onto the Fran, but the Fran's able to proc right out of it.
Yeah, and I would say if there's one thing that Mr. Chung needs, it's more damage on his Praha. That Praha actually doesn't do a ton of damage here. Only 1,000 per hit here. Otherwise, that Fran would be under a lot more pressure.
And not a ton, but plenty of attack bar, that's for sure. Cycling so much attack bar on that first skill. Veligil looking to focus out this Fran here. Fran's still standing tall, not being taken out yet. And we get a Despair Stun going out onto the Veligil. Praha, once again, not dealing enough damage for this Fran.
That was a giant proc by that Hathor. That proc put him into, allowed him to do the delayed promise and basically sleep the entire team of Charmi. So that's a huge swing of events brought to you by RNG.
That is correct. Mr.Chung choosing to go for that heal, healing up his Veligil. And looking at a first skill, dropping that Fran there with the Vigor.
Yeah, and again, Charmi's not bringing enough damage to be able to take out any unit of Mr. Chung's here. I mean, again, just Mr. Chung drafted this very well, and I'm not sure what this Juno's doing. It did get a lot of Despair Stuns, does do a lot of damage, but even then, I don't think it's enough.
Predator's Cry coming out, getting a little bit of healing done. Anti-crits coming up as well with that speed buff.
And that is a massive proc by that Ganymede. May actually swing the momentum, but it, of course, does not get the attack bar reset on the Veligil, so Veligil's going to be able to bring up immunity, but also make him very weak for when that Juno gets its cooldowns up.
That is correct. Looking for a strip there with that second skill, not receiving it. Still gets the 3-turn immunity there. Pra's going to be cycling a little bit of attack bar going right after that Wounsa. Attack break does happen coming from that Hathor. Looking for a shred. Can we get the 3-turn defense break on top of the Wounsa? And almost drops the Wounsa as well. Get a nice strip coming out of Juno. Can he get a full strip? Doesn't get the full strip though. But Pra's going to have enough. Dropping that Wounsa.
Yeah, that's a lot of resists actually from the side of Hathor and the Veligil. But again, these are 2 water units left over, and that Veligil is going to do a ton of damage onto this Juno. That Juno does do a lot of damage. 10 might be squishy, but actually is not.
Yep, punishment comes out onto the Juno as well. Praha looking to cycle some attack bar with Lancing, not being able to cycle any attack bar as well. Dealing a little bit of damage to the Juno though.
And actually, Juno has a chance to take out Veligil and potentially another unit. And if he gets a few more lucky procs here, might be in a good spot.
Yeah, talking about lucky procs, Vigor answers, able to get that second skill up as well, healing. Got the predicted future coming out, doesn't get the full strip once again on this highly resistant Veligil.
Yeah, I mean, that Veligil must be 100 res, and that's a giant heal from that Praha. That Juno needs to do work, but it's going to take so much damage from this Vigor.
Ooh, can't do work with that shred coming out there. Veligil's going to be dropping it right there, and Mr.Chung taking round 1 in the final in today's APAC SWC.
Oh, a very commanding win from Mr. Chung there, but I have no idea what Charmi was doing with that draft there. Once that Sierra's removed from his team, he literally does no damage, has no threat, no burst, and not great survivability over time. So his draft was basically waiting to be picked apart by Mr. Chung there. So quite honestly, well drafted on the side of Mr. Chung, and I think Charmi needs to think a little bit more on the lines of adding more damage, bringing some of that aggression that we saw in the earlier matches into this one.
Yep, most definitely. Mr. Chung taking that first round. You can see pre-bans coming out from last time. Gianna and Nephthys getting pre-banned. We've got some new pre-bans coming right now.
So we're going to see a pre-ban coming on the Wounsa, and could be a pre-ban on the Light Monkey, but I would think that the Light Monkey might not be a pre-ban. It could also be a Ganny or something like that. Instead, goes with the Sierra pre-ban. But the Wounsa pre-ban, obviously, those are very strong units and draft-dominating units. So Sierra and Wounsa are the pre-bans here.
Yep, Sierra Wounsa are the pre-bans first. A pick is going to be coming from Mr. Chung, locking in a Ganny, taking that right away from him. Charmi doesn't even think about it, goes with a Chiwu and a Hathor.
Yeah, needs to fight for turn 1, needs to do some sort of aggression because his opponent is going to either have a Ganny Hathor or Ganny Light Monkey lockdown. So Chiwu Hathor makes a lot of sense here, but does leave him wide open to, say, some sort of Vigor Mollies or some other well-built turn 2 type items.
Nope, there's the Vigor Praha coming out once again for Mr. Chung. It worked for him. See if it works out again for him. Charmi looking at drafting a Nephthys, one other unit.
And I would like to see a Chung Pong coming out from Charmi here. That would do a lot of work here. He's got 2 speed leads. A Chung Pong would probably win him the draft off the bat because Mr. Chung has no speed in his draft. His units are probably sitting around the 270, 280 range, which gets outsped by a speed lead plus Chung Pong or speed lead Water Monkey Hathor on the other side. So some sort of a Chung Pong would win this draft outright. I don't know if Charmi has this in his box.
Well, Mr. Chung's going to be wrapping up his draft there with the Veligil and a Gianna. Once again, Charmi showing that Juno. I don't know if we're going to see the Juno again.
Yeah, I don't know if we should be seeing that Juno again into 2 water units like that. I don't think that's the right pick here. Goes with the Josephine, which really doesn't synergize well with his existing team here. Tells us that he's leaving the Gianna in, or at the very least a Praha, but I'm not sure about the Josephine. I think there are a lot better picks out there, namely a second AoE strip. It could even be something like a Triton or something like that, or a Changpeng I've been calling for, but he might not have.
Well, bans are coming out. The Chiwu's getting banned on Charmi's side of the field. Viga getting banned on Mr.Chung's side of the field. Speed lead for Charmi. Resistance lead for Mr.Chung. Here we go, guys. We're going into round 2 with Mr.Chung and Charmi. Hathor taking first turn here.
Yeah, so Hathor gets first turn, but again, there's that immunity that he needs to balance around. Charmi needs to land everything. Full will is very difficult to deal with when he's got this type of an opening.
Hathor does land that skill 2 sleep onto the Gianna, does get the strip, and of course the additional turn as well. No stun goes out onto that Veldril. We do have a provoke that can happen on top of that Veldril as well, but he chooses to go for provoke on top of the Praha.
And actually, that's a lot of aggression, lots of defense breaks. This is going to hurt a lot. We're going to see that Veldril go down, and Charmi actually is in a really, really good spot. Nephthys is just such a strong unit.
Yep, definitely is. Reset goes out on the Hathor, dumps the attack bars of everybody. We're not going to be seeing a cleanse unless the additional turn comes out for Veldril.
And I think that's what Mr.Chung is taking his time for, and he gets it.
And he got it. That Veldril RNG pulling through again for Mr.Chung. Well done.
Well done. Obviously, the best strategy in this game is RNG, and that's exactly what he has. Mr.Chung is the master of that strategy, does get that proc, and now has swung the game entirely in his favor.
Yep, that is correct. Bomb sitting on top of that Josephine. We're going to see Danny possibly going for a ventilate back onto the Veldril, and he did. We're going to see a nice punishment coming out. Punishment going right onto the Josephine, but we get an additional turn coming from this Nephthys.
It's a pretty rough spot here for Charmi here. Charmi doesn't really have any way to come back from a difficult game, doesn't have heals. He's going to need to be able to lay in aggression, and that's going to take a lot of procs to do so.
Yeah, Pra second lit up of attack bar onto that Water Monkey King. We're not going to see a second skill come out, but a first skill looking for a stun onto the Gianna, not receiving it. Glancing can be applied, and more damage, of course, is being applied to that Josephine as well. There's that third skill, pushing up those attack bars.
Yeah, and again, that Veladril and that gaining combination is going to be able to keep up immunity on the team for pretty much the entire game here. Just slowly allow Mr.Chung to whittle Charmi down here.
That's right, no reason to use that second skill, but cycle first skill, getting a little bit of attack bar back by going after that Water Monkey King. Bomb detonates on top of that Josephine. Josephine's removed from the field. Little bit more damage coming back to that Water Monkey King. A little bit of poke damage coming towards that Gianna. Alter Ego coming out. That invincibility is going to save it so it doesn't get stunned up, nor does it get the damage from the bomb. Almost finishing off that Gianna there.
So really massive proc there because it allowed the invincibility to detonate on, have that bomb detonate on it and do nothing. Otherwise, Gianna would have stripped it on the next turn. So that's a huge proc there, but at the same time, I still think Mr.Chung is in a pretty commanding spot in this position.
Oof, well that Hathor really looking for that sleep on top of Ganny and not receiving it. Water Monkey King was able to get the stun though. There's the Daydream coming out, putting everybody to sleep here.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about that Daydream there. I think he should have just gone for the kill on the Water Monkey. Doesn't really matter, but he did put himself at risk of an accuracy resist check there. So Mr.Chung taking an unnecessary risk, but it didn't really matter. He had the world's biggest proc from that Veladril off the bat that one from the game.
He did. That was able to finish off that Water Monkey King with that additional turn. You can see Veladril getting so many additional turns, and it didn't matter. Mr.Chung taking it away from, wow, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Mr.Chung just taking that away. You know, the master of RNG there gets the proc on the Veladril. Perfect unit to get that proc, and is able to just win the game off the bat. The minute that Nephthys' skill 2 is put to waste, that's game over.
Definitely was. So many additional turns coming out of Mr.Chung, and so many unnecessary additional turns coming out of Mr.Chung. He had so much coming in his favor in that match.
Yeah, it definitely had a lot. I mean, I actually think the draft of Charmi I actually really like that draft. Just a lot of aggression, the ability to put your opponent in a bad spot, and you do have like a 70% plus chance to win when you get that Nephthys off. But of course, all Mr.Chung needed was the right proc on the right unit, and he's prayed all tournament long. There's no reason to stop praying. He is the master of RNG. knows how to employ this unbeatable strategy.
Yep, we're going into game 3. Pre-ban's out. Gianna Neftis, very quick drafting coming from these guys. Charmi first picking that Ganny. Mr.Chung with the Hathor Veligil. Charmi responding with a Wunsa and Ciara.
So Mr.Chung's likely going to be taking the same units that he did the first round, which is some sort of a Praha Vigor. And I'm not really sure if those are the right picks in this situation. I really think some sort of maybe even Verds and things like that are quite good here. But again, he goes with the Praha Vigor. This signals a ban on the Sierra. Let's see if Charmi decides to add more damage or if he does the same mistake in the first round and goes with no other damage. I'm seeing a Miho here, though.
Well, Mr. Chung going right back to that Vigor and Praha combination. He's been using that a whole lot. Charmi hovering over a Miho, possibly bringing it in a Karis as well.
Interesting here. So actually, Wunsa needs to be the ban. Otherwise, everything goes off and Mr. Chung's going to be losing units. So I think he should be angling to ban the Wunsa and then probably win. He does have a Vigor and Hathor, which do very well against Miho. So I think Charmi's employing the strategy of trying to confuse his opponent. And I don't think it's going to work, but it might. I mean, we see Eternities go down, but I really think Mr. Chung needs to just go and ban the Wunsa and win the game.
Yeah, Rika, very interesting pick there. No immunity on the side of Charmi's field.
And he does go to ban the Wunsa here. And so we might see, it's interesting here because we're going to see a lot of damage come in. And this Akaris needs to be slept by this Hathor. Otherwise, Mr. Chung may lose a unit out.
Yep, well, they're going into game 3. Mr. Chung, Charmi. Mr. Chung could take it if he gets this one, gets this match won, but we're going to find out. Ganny with first turn. Everybody with immunity on the side of Mr. Chung's field.
Yeah, Ganny with first turn doing absolutely nothing, but that's a really fast Akaris and a decently fast Miho, so we might see a unit go down off the bat.
Oh, and it's a violent Akaris able to get that additional turn. Can it finish off? It does not finish it off yet.
Definitely does not, and this Praha does cut in between, so gonna be able to heal and sleep the team.
Does not sleep the Miho, though, but Hathor should be doing the work here. Hathor gets the second skill sleep and the additional turn as well. Third skill's coming out. Things are looking so great for Mr. Chung.
I'm not sure why Mr. Chung did not use that skill 3. They're probably seeing that everything is stunned up, or slept rather, but I think at this point, he really should have gone and slept the entire team. Doesn't really matter though, he's quite far ahead. And again, now he's in a good spot here. Has speed buff, is gonna be able to pick off the units of Charmi, so we're likely gonna see a 3-0. We're just gonna see the RNG pan out, but that Hathor does have skill 3 coming up.
Let's see if he chooses to wake anything up, or is the punishment going on to the Miho? It is not. He chooses to wake up that Akaris, though.
Chooses to wake up the Akaris. Akaris has already used skill 3, so Akaris can't really do very much. Delayed Promise is gonna go down. So with that speed buff of Vigor and that Hathor on, we may see another Delayed Promise in the game again quite soon.
There was a resistance on top of that Ganny. Ganny is only down for 1 turn right now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the decision to go after the Miho here because Miho does have a target to go after, and that is the Veligil. Veligil is quite squishy because it's 100 less.
That is correct, and we know this Pra is going to be built on crit. It's going to crit every single time, trying to gain as much attack bar as possible. Veligil, is he going to cross his fingers, hoping not to crit here? No, he chooses to wake up the Akaris. He's kind of all over the place with his targets right now. Gets the punishment, Violent Proc as well. Skill 2ing that Miho, keeping it down.
Yeah, that's quite a tanky Miho there, actually, and that's the only reason why it's still alive. But at the same time, you know, even though the target selection's a little interesting, I think Mr. Chung's in a good spot.
All right, well, the Seal of Magic's coming out onto the Veligil with that proc coming out from Ganymede. Pra possibly looking to skill 1 this Akaris, cycle a little bit of attack bar. No, choosing to go after the Miho on a crit rate build.
Yeah, and that heal block is actually quite huge on the Miho. That means that Vigor just needs to go in and lay in 1 piece of damage and wipe out that Miho. But again, Akaris with skill 2 is able to heal it up, so quite huge.
Yep, definitely is. He was really banking on not critting with that Praha, but that was very rare to see there. Built on a crit rate build there. Going for the skill 3, putting everybody to sleep. Attack break's coming out. Waking. No attack break onto the Miho, but he wakes it up.
Yeah, that not getting the attack break is quite huge here. He does have anti-crit coming up, but no attack break is massive. So I'm not sure what Mr. Chung was doing earlier, waking up the Miho. It's going to cost him that Veligil and cost him immunity, which could give him trouble down the line.
It may even cost him the match, but we're going to find out. Ventilate's going back onto the Akaris. Akaris going to have that 3rd skill up. Once again, glancing is being applied to the Vigor. Attack break's coming out, maybe onto the Miho. Can't land an attack break for the life of him.
can't do anything to this Miho. Miho is probably 100 res or some sort of build like that. Super tanky, but again, Icarus does have skill 3 coming up. Sierra does have bombs coming up. There's a lot of momentum on Charmi's side of the field.
That's right. That's a lot of momentum for sure. Bombs coming out onto the Vigor. It does land. Is it going to be enough to finish off the Vigor? And it is enough with the additional turn as well. Going right after that Hathor. Definitely going to be it. Charmi's going to be taking this round 3 here.
Yeah, Charmi going to be able to take a match here. Going to be able to take a game here. Lucky for him, does not want to get 3-0'd in the finals. So is going to be able to hang on. That Miho doing quite a bit of work.
Well, Hathor not even getting a full team sleep there. Still trying to go after this Icarus.
You know, I'm not sure why Mr. Chung is still in this game, and there you go. He doesn't know why he's there.
And there you go. Charmi finally taking a match away from Mr. Chung. He is still in this fight.
Definitely still in the fight. The Miho is a very interesting pick here. Normally, it's not a very good pick in this type of meta, but I guess with that amount of tankiness and that speed, it's definitely not a high damage Miho, so I guess it makes sense for his build. But Mr. Chung there just made a really questionable play, trying to take out that Miho early instead of going after the cars and taking out one unit at a time. Typically, that's what you want to do when you have a full blanket control from a Hathor and you have a Vigor. You want to take out one unit at a time. Not sure what he was doing there. Maybe he didn't know himself, and that's why he just lost that.
Well, there you have it. We're going into round 4. Mr. Chung, Charmi. See the pre-bans from last time. Gianna getting pre-banned, Nephthys getting pre-banned. New pre-bans coming out. It's going to be the Ciara and the Wunsa.
Yeah, so we're going to see Wunsa, obviously the pre-ban. Same pre-bans as round 2. We'll see if their picks are any different. I know that Charmi does value that Ganny a bit more. Both players might value that Ganny over the Hallow in this matchup.
There's the Ganny being first picked by Mr. Chung. Charmi drafting the Vigor this time and Hathor.
Interesting take on the Vigor, knowing that Mr. Chung has the Gianna later. Gianna's quite decent into Vigor, and also quite decent into Hathors, which tend to be on Will. So I would look to expect some form of a Gianna, and maybe he might even go with like a Gianna Praha or something like that.
Oh, we see the Praha, that's for sure, and the Villager is going to be coming out there to counter this Hathor.
Yeah, interesting pick here of the Praha on the spot. Not sure if he needs a Praha because Gianna is just such a better unit compared to Praha, but and also the Veligil is a little interesting given the fact that Vigor does run circles around the Veligil. So interesting take here, and again, Charmi kind of interesting pick with that Juno as well.
Yeah, Juno and Josephine coming out for Charmi, and Mr. Chung's going to be replying with these last 2 units. We're seeing a Masha and a Vertiheel coming out of Mr. Chung.
Masha Vert, so I would expect a Vigor ban or some sort of probably a Vigor ban or a Hathor ban, but this Water Monkey King is the perfect response here. I think we want to, if you're going to run this type of comp, you do want to take out probably the Veligil, which is the form of immunity, and your old team does very well if the Veligil is removed from the game. Instead, decides he doesn't want to do that and takes out the Praha, which is the source of the heals instead.
Interesting bans coming out here. So Xiao is going to be gone. Praha is going to be gone. Going with a fire HP lead for Mr. Chung. Accuracy lead for Charmi. Can Mr. Chung get the upset here and take this round 4? Or can Charmi hold on going into a game 5? It's what we all want to see here.
Yeah, that's a really slow Masha, not on Swift and actually not on very fast Violent at all, going slower than even the Vigor. So quite interesting speeds. Must hit really hard here, but I think there's going to be a lot of damage coming out from this Masha into Vertiheel.
Josephine looking to get a provoke. Nope. Carson's fingers for a stun on top of the Ganymede, not receiving it here. Let's see what kind of damage this Masha is going to be doing. Going for a fast link, gets the defense break, not dealing enough damage though.
Not doing enough, but he has a Vertiheel on the back foot, and Masha does gain 2 times the amount of attack bar, and he's going to be able to cycle over and over again. And he also has a Veligil, so really like Mr. Chung's spot here. That Masha is just going to do tons of work.
Yeah, Mr. Chung with the additional turn as well, dumping the attack bars with that Seal of Magic. Here we go, Vertiheel trying to pummel some damage into this Juno, boosting up with the Veligil. Masha not yet dropping this Juno.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter here. This Juno's only got 1 little bit of HP. It's not going to move in front of any unit. That Juno is done, but that Verd did not crit at all.
That Verd didn't need to crit at all. He's able to finish off that Juno. Not getting any attack bar for the team, though. See the additional turns coming into the Vigor. Unit of focus is going to be this Masha.
Yeah, Vert did not need to crit at all. This Masha is actually quite tanky. I mean, we talk about how slow it is. It's because it's this tanky here and actually does an okay amount of damage. So Mr. Chung is in a good spot here, just needs to cycle over and over again.
Yep, that's right. Choosing not to use that third skill. He did not need to use it. We got the Masha looking to pump some damage on top of this Vigor. Can the Vigor hold on? No defense breaks coming out here.
No defense breaks at all. That was a lucky proc, but no defense break is pretty huge here. No more anti-crit on the half. That means that Vert's going to be able to freely be able to crit back and forth.
Oh man, so many procs coming from Mr. Chung. We get the proc into the Seal of Magic coming out. Vigor did resist the attack bar though.
Yeah, that is a massive proc coming on the side of, being able to reset that Vigor. But at the same time, I mean, this is just so much damage being pumped into Charmi's team here. I mean, that Masha is just pummeling him over and over again.
That's right. I mean, we see a massive punishment coming out here. Is that going to be enough to finish off the Vigor? We can find out. No, chooses to go for a Sanctuary. He wants to try and really lap him.
Yeah, he definitely wants to try lap him, wants to push that bird in front of the team and allow the Masha to have one more big shot at downing a unit here.
Well, that bird gets the additional turn as well. Big second skill, looking to take out that Vigor. Masha dropping the Vigor there, looking so good for Mr. Chung. Mr. Chung is taking this round and is our champion tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Chung drafted quite well, and of course, employing the best strategy in the game, which is RNG, getting procs over and over, clutch procs on the Veladul, clutch procs on the Ganymede, and ultimately, that strategy allowed him to become champion of the APAC League.
Yep, well, they're both going to be going to Worlds. Mr. Chung with a lot of RNG, but at the same time, some incredible drafting and gameplay as well.
Yeah, and you can see it right there in Charmi's face, just like, yeah, that was a game. And there's a couple of times where Mr. Chung tried to rub it on in with his target selection there in that game number 3 that allowed a great opponent in Charmi to come back. But in the end, it is Mr. Chung that will be your SWC 2020 Asia Pacific Cup champion and #1 seed going into the World Finals. Congratulations to Mr. Chung. And I feel like you have to go all the way back to the quarterfinals, and you look at his one unit that I think has been like under the microscope here, that Veladul. The Veladul over and over again, just not getting, resisting everything.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about